Now, I want to get your take on a couple of these games. We got some Eagles issues here today. I wanted to bring up again the Jeffrey Lurie comments on the quarterback position.
Right.
But where he says, we're basically going to build around Jalen Hurts, and I don't want any quarterback competition, which leads everybody, including me, to believe that they're not going to take a quarterback with the 6th overall pick in the first round if they do indeed draft with the 6th overall pick. And I'm thinking about it, Barrett, and I don't know if this crossed your mind or not. I'm like, where was this idea or this mindset last year? When it came, when you've already had a franchise quarterback, okay,
yes.
that was about to have a bad year. I get it. But we didn't know he was going to have this bad year come this time last year, right?
I don't think he would have.
I don't know. Yeah, if they don't draft Jalen Hurts, maybe he's not affected, and has a decent year. I don't know. Who knows? But the point is, it's like where you already had your franchise quarterback, okay, that is exhibited all kinds of toughness and played, obviously he got hurt, but he's a tough guy. He seemed like, was he the perfect leader? No, but he was pretty good. And where was that mindset going into the draft about let's continue to build around Carson?
Exactly. So I'm thinking the same thing, Harry. It's funny you said that. I'm thinking the same thing. And if we go off what happened the year before last, if we're looking into, before the bad year.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I felt like he was on his way up because he took some guys that wouldn't necessarily have been on the field.
Right.
They would have been on the practice squad.
Greg Ward.
Yes.
Yeah.
And willed them to the playoffs. And I don't care about, the division being back. You play who you play. You're in the division who you're in a division with. Has nothing to do with that. But you were able to manufacture points, offense, from guys that shouldn't have been on the field, and he was lacking so much in other areas as far as talent. Right. I mean, it was crazy that he was able to execute an offense with 12 personnel being the number one personnel package for them. Didn't have any. He had 2 receivers in one game that dressed. How do you go into a game with 2 receivers dressed? That's almost impossible to do.
Yeah.
And he was able to do an executed offense. So to me, I thought, all right, he used what he had, and I just knew he was going to have a great year going into this year. I thought the offensive line was going to be held. This before Brandon Brooks and his injury. I thought he was on the rise. He was on his way up, as opposed to him having the year that he had. But then you turn around in April, late April, and draft a quarterback instead of drafting a guy that's going to help him, because you didn't help in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think they could have got
they could have gotten a better receiver. They could have gotten Jefferson.
Yeah. So, but then the second round, I'm thinking, all right, there's an opportunity there. There's some great talent there that they can get at the wide receiver position to help him out.
Right. Could have used the safety too.
Oh, exactly.
They could have used a lot of different types of positions.
Yeah. And lo and behold, they say Jalen Hurts. Now, I mean, I love Jalen Hurts now.
I got nothing. I got nothing
against the kid.
No.
But how is that helping your quarterback? A guy when you and this is my philosophy. If I was a GM or I was in that locker room, I would get somebody that could contribute. The first 3 rounds, 1 through the 3rd round, are rounds in which you're supposed to get guys that can come in and contribute day one.
Mm-hmm.
The first 3 rounds of guys that come in, whether it be on special teams, offense, defense, whatever, they're supposed to contribute and play day one. I got drafted in the 2nd round. I was expected to come out whether I was going to start at guard or I was going to start at tackle. Really, Bernard Williams at the time was the 1st round pick a year before, had a great season, played well, and then got caught up, he kept getting busted for smoking weed. Well, let me start at tackle instead of guard. They brought me in to play guard.
Right.
But he got busted, so I had to kick out the tackle. Then they brought in a guy, McIntyre. So I played tackle, he played guard. But the dynamics of you coming in, Mike Mamula was going to play. He was the 1st round guy.
Mm-hmm.
In the 2nd round, they got Bobby Taylor. He started day 1. They brought him in to stop and shut down Michael Irvin.
Poor Mike Mamula, man.
I know.
I'll tell you, man.
I hate to do it to him.
It wasn't him that drafted himself 7th overall or whatever it was, right?
It wasn't his fault. He was expected to be great off a combine.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. It's a quick story about Mike. Our senior years, we played in the Aloha Bowl together, Boston College against Kansas State. And I mean, he was the guy, man. He was just a sack leader. He was killing people that year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we play him. We play him in Hawaii, and he's going against our right tackle, and he's killing Jim Himmelowski. I mean, he's killing him. So we go up. We go in at halftime. He's got 2.5 sacks already in the game.
In the
going
first
into
half.
halftime. Yes,
right.
in the first half.
And this is a bowl game, right?
Yeah, bowl game. This is Aloha, but we're. I mean, it was great, man, because at the time I was taking money from agents. You know what I'm saying? I had like 10 grand in my pocket from agents sending me money.
That's what I wanted to get to eventually.
In Hawaii. Hawaii to say anything. It was in Hawaii.
Right. And plus, it's a hula bowl. It's probably the only bowl on at that time during whatever day that was. So everybody's watching football is watching him destroy your offensive line.
Killing him. I mean, he was killing him. And it was paid on Christmas Day, the 25th, Christmas Day.
Right.
So we were the only game on in town. So long story long, we coming out at halftime. We're walking back into the stadium. He said, "Hey, B, we got to switch sides, man. I can't stop this guy. If you want to win, we got to switch sides." I was like, dude, I can't just go to right tackle. I've never played right tackle before. I am a left tackle. I've been a left tackle my entire career, you know, in college. She's like, "B, you got to do it."
Can you imagine if you did it? What the coaches? What's
Brooks
doing? No.
So Harry, I did do it. So I go to the right side, and I'm in the game. So I'm going against this guy named Colin Stalin. You know, I'm killing him. You know, he ended up getting drafted. You know, pretty high in the draft to Minnesota. So we laugh about this. So I go to right side. He goes to left side. We break the huddle break, and we get to the line. He looks over and he sees me. Mamula looks at me and sees me. Looks me in my eyes. He does like this and looks on the other side. He calls Colin Stalin, "Hey, Stahl, come back over here. Hey, you're over here." They switch sides. Mamula goes over there and plays against Jim, gets a sack the very next play, but it was so bad he couldn't even touch him because he couldn't get out of his stance. He never played left tackle before. He couldn't even get out of his stance. Another sack. So we just said, you know what, man? It doesn't matter where. He's going to follow you wherever you go, man.
He's just going to line up wherever that guy goes. How great is that? So what did he end up with?
Drafted.
What did he end up with?
3.5 sacks.
Okay, so your team, it always comes back to Kansas State on this show for some reason. So your Kansas State Wildcats were really largely responsible for the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Mike Mamula in the first round.
You have to say it was all my fault because I couldn't play both tackles at the same time.
Right. We didn't get to clone Barrett Brooks at halftime, unfortunately. Wow.
You know what we should have did? I should have just followed wherever he went, I'd go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but like you're crazy. In motion, like the left tackle in motion. You're like a tight end. That's awesome. All right, now let's get back to the $10,000 that you allegedly got while you were over in Hawaii. You got to tell me about the week leading into that because you probably went over there a couple days, 5-6 days early for the bowl festivities. Oh, that had to be awesome.
Unbelievable, man. We're in a nice hotel. And I didn't know it was that expensive in Hawaii. It was crazy expensive. Back then, a Big Mac was $8. This is back in 1994.
Jeez.
$8 for a Big Mac. Not the meal, just the Big Mac.
Sandwich, yeah.
Yes, you know, man, it was crazy, man. I'll tell you another story, man. I was appalled. I felt so disrespected. I really wanted to, you know what I'm saying, cuss this lady out, you know, but I couldn't because my mom, she taught me never to do that. So I was like, oh. But I'm in this little trinket store looking for a trinket for my mother.
Right.
The little, you know, the crystal trinkets. That's all they have in there is crystal trinkets.
So not like a charm bracelet, like a charm for a charm bracelet. You were looking for the
little crystal, like they have like, you know, dolphins or butterflies, stuff like that, unicorns. So I'm in there. And the lady on this, I didn't know that there's a high population of Asians in Hawaii, a huge population. So I walk in, so she sees this black kid and thinks that I'm stealing. I'm like, you get out. I'm like, what are you talking about? What's going on?
She profiled you walking
She profiled me, bro. Called the police on me. I didn't even know. I am just totally in the dark. All I know is this Asian lady just followed me around her store. I'm like, why is she following me? What is the problem? Here, I got $5,000. You know, I didn't bring the whole 10. I got $5,000 in my pocket.
Okay.
In my pocket.
Oh, this isn't going well.
Oh, no, it didn't go well at all. Oh, man. By the time I got through acting a fool in there, I mean, I thought I was almost to the point. Like I said, man, call my head coach. This something got to be done about this.
Well, there's no way that
the police.
There's no way that she could have thought you were stealing if she knew you had $5,000 on you. Like you're not going to steal. You have money.
Right. Well, then when the police came, they said, "Sir, you know, you got to say I'm going to leave," but she just profiled me. She just knew. I said, "You know what? Let me show you some, officer." So I pulled the money out, and I'm like, talking trash. I mean, I'm talking cash trash. Then, man, I'm telling everybody, you know what you could do for me. I hate to do it to you.
I hate to do it to you.
That's how I started the conversation out. I took it. I threw the money on the ground. I said, "Touch it if you want to." And I picked it up in front of him and threw it down. I mean, I acted a fool.
Wow.
And then walked out of there, man. I was so mad and so hot that she thought that I was stealing in her store. None of them trinkets were worth more than $5, and I have $5,000 in my pocket.
So you didn't get one, obviously, right?
Oh, no.
So what did you do? What did you get for your mom? Nothing?
I got my mom a whole bunch of stuff. Probably more stuff that I needed to get her. In fact, I had so much stuff that I had to ship it to her.
All right, good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so you found a store that wasn't going to profile anybody, and you bought from them. Wow.
Right. It was unbelievable, man.
There's always a story. I tell you, when we get to Kansas State, it's always something. And speaking of Kansas, you saw this yesterday. We didn't touch on it for some reason. Les Miles is out at Kansas as the head football coach.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, he's only been there a couple years.
The middle.
It's called the Gonza Fort Peninsula Park.
Looks nice.
It's a nice green space.
Right. Just looks like, what's the park in the middle of New York?
Central Park?
Central Park, yeah.
Most famous park in the world.
Right. It's probably the most famous green space on the planet.
The Middle with Eitan Shander, Barrett Brooks, and Harry Mays. Weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.